Ooh, what's up, nerds and geeks? My name is OMG WTF LOL TEW. Welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. We are playing as the WWF in the year 2001, but more importantly, as always, we are booking the Invasion angle. And more importantly, we are going to be running WCW Thursday Night Nitro, and more importantly, today is January 14th, 2017, and 24 years ago, a legend was born. Yours truly, OMG, WTF, LOL BRB. I can say it super fast, but not slow, apparently. Was born today. You're welcome. Either way, though, now that we got the important stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and run the show. Kind of excited for this show. I think it's going to be good. Holy shit, this probably should have been the main event of the pre-show. But either way, in a decent pre-show match, Lance Storm defeating Perry Saturn with the Canadian Maple Leaf. Got a B-. Lance Storm with the B rating over here. Perry Saturn with a surprising C+. Lance Storm just brings out the best in everybody. Perry Saturn improving in technical, so there's that. You know what? I'm not tripping. They both got B-. Either way, main event would have been fine of the pre-show. It's just the pre-show, like it matters. B- for the main event of the pre-show. In a decent pre-show match, similar to what happened last week, Ron Simmons defending his hardcore championship against a Dudley, this week being Devon Dudley, where he beat him in 10 minutes, 10 seconds with the Dominator, making his second defense of the hardcore championship. So Simmons had the B- and Devon with the C+. No worker improvements here, unfortunately. So we move in to start the show with the A rating. Always happy with that. A rating, Monday Night Nitro. I gotta learn to stop typing in that, for one. Thursday Night Nitro. Opens with Diamond Dallas Page. He's making his way down to the ring, but unlike usual here, he doesn't have a smile on his face. Not a big old smile like we see in his picture. He gets in the ring and he takes the mic and he says, Shane, this is complete and utter bullcrap. You mean to tell me that because Rock and Jericho were able to beat two guys who aren't even in the match, two guys whose muscles are so big that instead of them helping them in their matches, it ends up costing them in the long run? You better hope those Hardys are down in 5 minutes or less, or else they'll be out of breath. My point is, Rock and Jericho don't belong in this match. They didn't beat anyone of worth to earn their spot. That's when Booker T's music hits, and he makes his way down to the ring, joining Diamond Dallas Page in the ring, and he says, You know, Page, I don't agree. This is horrible. I don't agree with anything you say usually, but for once you're right. This is between you and I, not two punks from the WWF who think they've earned their place because they beat the Steiners. That ain't nothing special. I've beaten the Steiners plenty of times. Shane? Hold on. Shane, you better come out here and fix this. That's a horrible Booker T, by the way. That was like a John Laurinaitis. Shane's music then hits and he joins the two superstars in the ring and he says, Boys, look. I'm just as happy as you two are about that Rock and Jericho, about the Rock's and Jericho's inclusion in this match. But let's not act like they managed to beat the Steiners cleanly. Let's not forget that the Hardy Boys made their presence known. Look, guys, last week I had planned on pitting you two against them. But if I'm being honest, I don't know if I can trust that you two can work together. DDP then responds, Are you kidding me? We've beaten them before. Booker may have what I want, but I hate The Rock. I hate the WWF. Issues aside, I know Book and I can beat those two jabronis. Isn't that right, Book? And the Book says, Yeah, you're damn right. We can. Shane, make the damn match. Shane says, All right, fine. Tonight, you two will team up to face Rock and Jericho, and win, you guys win. Then it'll just be Diamond Dallas Page versus Booker T at King of the Ring once again. And that sets up the main event of the night, which will see Rock and Jericho having to defend their spots in their title match that they won last week after defeating the Steiner brothers against their opponents, Diamond Dallas Page and Booker T, who would prefer to have just a one-on-one match. So, also, I messed up here, and I didn't even bother to explain it in somewhere in here. When he said, you better hope those Hardys are down in 5 minutes or, they'll be out of breath, I meant more like the Steiners will be out of breath. Diamond Dallas Page was taking a jab that mostly, Rick and Scott don't really have the stamina to keep up with someone like Jeff and Matt, let alone The Rock and Chris Jericho, I guess. That's where I was trying to get with that, Either way, these guys went off script because Shane McMahon, I don't know if I remember this ever being a thing before, but Shane McMahon actually wanted to go off script. So I let him go off script, and Booker T, unfortunately, did struggle when going off script, and Bobby Heenan was pretty weak, unfortunately, here, but the angle got the show off to a strong start, and it got the crowd hotter, which is awesome. And it also gained heat to the Rock and DDP storyline, along with progressing both the Invasion and Jericho and Booker T. No worker improvements, unfortunately. We move to the next angle, I guess. Not really an angle, but we move to the next segment. That's what I was looking for. Next segment, which is a match, gets a C+ rating, and a poor match, Chuck Palumbo defeating The One, Billy Gunn, in 6 minutes. I'm all over the place. 6 minutes, 38 seconds with the torture rack. I'm not sure what these guys had before. I think it was a solid C, so this may be an improvement. Just getting Chuck Palumbo some heat back after he had to lose to Kurt Angle. He had a in-ring performance of a C+ to Billy Gunn's D, so Chuck is moving up in the world. We then go on to our next segment, which is just another C+ here. After the match, Stacy gets in the ring. She takes the mic, and she starts saying, now hopefully that'll shut up all those naysayers. Chuck may have lost to Kurt this past Monday, but let's not forget the valiant effort he put up against not only a former WWF champion, but an Olympic gold medalist. Monday Night Raw was a minor setback, but going forward, the world would know exactly who Stacy Keibler and Chuck Palumbo are. And then they just leave. It's pretty much just another way to get some heat back for them, considering that they took a loss. They took a loss, unfortunately. We then go to another C+. Oh boy, I don't know about these C+, guys. Another C+. Edge should not be with Christian. Gosh darn it. Christian, he's walking down the hallway. He's got a big smug smile on his face. He walks right by Lord Steven Regal and Power Plant. And then he stops and he says, well, 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 look what we've got here. If it isn't Lord Regal and his merry men. So which one of you muscleheads is the guy that I'm going to beat tonight? That's when Regal says, look at you, Sunshine. Someone must be in a good mood tonight. Quite the shame that it's all going to come crashing down because Mr. Jindrak here, and that's when Mark Jindrak steps up and he says, is looking to make an example out of you. You've built quite the name for yourself, young man. And you're going to be a great first big name for Mr. Jindrak to conquer. Good luck out there, old chap. You're going to need it. And they just walk by as Christian just kind of stands there looking on. And we move on to the commercial break pretty much. Man, I wish Edge should not be being there at all. That sucks. But he did help Christian, so whatever. And Jindrak's improving in acting, so there is that. We then go on to the match, which gets a solid C rating. I'm not liking these C's, but then again, whatever. We have a decent match here. King of the Ring, round 2. Christian moves on to the semifinals as he defeats Mark Jindrak with a handful of tights. So Mark Jindrak was kept strong in here, as we can see right there. And Christian had to pull out some tainted maneuvers here as he got a quick roll up on Mark Jindrak, handful of tights. Referee wasn't in the right field of vision. 1, 2, 3. Christian moves on to the semifinals to take on his tag team partner and his brother, Edge. So that means the winner of Benoit versus Dean Malenko, which we'll see later tonight, will be the person who will face Kurt Angle. Maybe a little obvious, but whatever. So it doesn't say Edge was here, but he was. So Regal did some good work ringside. Christian had a B-, Jindrak with the C. All in all, not too shabby. And like I said, that moves Christian on, so we now know we'll see Edge and Christian at the pay-per-view. I should have done that right there, but we'll do it right here. The C+, what's with these C's. C, 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 C. Jeez. Not liking these C's. Match is over. Christian, he's jumping for glory. Christian's celebrating. He's ecstatic. He's going on to the pay-per-view, one step closer to becoming the king of the ring, and then he bumps into Mark Jindrak, who's standing there. Jindrak is pissed. Christian, of course, trying to be a good sport, extends his hand out to shake hands with Jindrak, but Jindrak instead pulls him in, hits him with the mark of perfection, and then just stands over him, looking tall. And Christian may have, moved on to the King of the Ring tournament and may be facing his brother Edge at the pay-per-view, but he's out. He's out, and he paid for cheating. We'll never know if this would have been Mark Jindrak, so go ahead and put that in, and then King of the Ring semi-final. Edge versus Christian, the first semi-final confirmed. All right. I mean, it is Rock and Jericho, but there we go. Finally, something not a C. Feels like eternity since we've seen an A, and that was just the opening segment ago. Either way, geez, the pre-show matches have been doing better. Backstage, we see The Rock. He's getting ready for his tag team match tonight. As we found out earlier, of course, DDP and Booker T are now going to be facing Rock and Jericho, and if Jericho and Rock lose, they'll be out of the title match this Sunday. That's when Jericho walks into the locker room and he says, Rock, there you are. I've been looking for you all day. Did you hear that Shane McMahon is forcing us to team up once again, and defend our spots in this Sunday's WCW title match? This is complete and total bull. But before he can finish it, Rock puts his finger on his mouth and he says, shut your mouth and know your role. How dare you just walk into The Rock's locker room? We may be partners again, but we are not friends, Chris Jericho. And as for our match tonight, you'd have to be one grade A jackass if you didn't see Shane McMahon's plan coming. Now, if you'll please check your ass out of The Rock's locker room. The Rock's got a big match to prepare for, and The Rock suggests you do the same thing. Then Jericho just looks all pissed and like, you motherfucker and all that shit, and just walks away. He leaves the locker room, and Rock continues doing his thing. Crowd got hotter for this. I would hope so. Rock was good. Invasion moved on. Rock and DDP gained some heat, and Jericho and Booker moved on. So we then go to a solid B. That's... I'll be honest, that's impressive. Two guys who really aren't that great on the microphone got a solid B rating here. Interesting. We see Dean Malenko. He's getting prepared for his King of the Ring match when in walks Chris Benoit with Ric Flair, who, they both walk in clapping, and then Benoit says, congratulations, Dean. And then Malenko responds, thanks, Chris. But for what? Benoit then replies, for making it to round 2. I really had my money on Ray, but you pulled through. It's just a shame that I've got to be the one to eliminate you. And you think it's going to be that easy. Let's not forget the wars we've been through, Chris. Oh, I'll never forget the wars, Dean. I'll never forget them. But let's not kid ourselves here. Over the years, you've gone downhill. Even grown yourself a little bit of a gut, it would seem. But while you've been busy seeing your career fall down, I've seen a career resurgence. And don't kid yourself into thinking that without him, and he points to Flair, that you'd still be seeing this career resurgence. Tonight, I was hoping to make this between friends, but now I'm just looking to crack your ego, Chris. And then Dean just walks by, shoulder checking him, and Benoit just kind of sits there smiling. So Flair helped Benoit as he usually does. Heenan was weak, unfortunately. Malenko was underwhelming, but Benoit was good. So we move on to the next segment, which gets a C+ rating. This I would expect less than a C+ from, so I'm actually a little high, better, a little happier with this, but still these C's, you know what I mean? And about that had subpar wrestling and a little heat. The Steiner brothers defeating the team of our borrowed local talent here in the tri-state area, between Blitzkrieg, which I have no idea who either of these guys are, to be honest. They are just cruiserweights, and I figured, why not, since the Steiners are taking on the Hardys, make them fight someone who are like high flyers. Blitzkrieg and Julio De Niro. That name kind of sounds familiar, but I still don't know who he is. When Scott Steiner defeated Julio De Niro with the Steiner device. Scott was head and shoulders above everybody else, and Blitzkrieg was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else. So Scott Steiner is getting better at his in-ring, or not his in-ring, but is getting better at his gimmick. He looked excellent out there. He had an A star. Rick had a B minus, and Julio had an E plus. Blitzkrieg with the E minus, the worst of the match. We then move on to the next segment, which gets a B plus. Hell yes. B plus. After the match, the Steiners look to do a repeat of what they did to the Hardy Boys on Monday Night Raw, as they locked their two respective, opponents in their submission holds on the fallen foes. That's when the Hardy Boys come racing down to the ring. They both have steel chairs in their hands. Matt slides into the ring, and he smacks Rick with the steel chair. Rick, of course, rolls out of the ring. Scott lets go of the hold. He goes right after Matt, but Matt tosses the chair over to Scott, a la like RVD. Scott Steiner catches it, and that was just a setup, because Jeff Hardy comes flying out of the air, and he drop kicks that steel chair into Scott's face. Scott, not really, he didn't fall down, he just kind of stumbled back, holding his nose. He's pissed now. He goes to run after Jeff Hardy, but Matt then cuts him off, kicks him in the gut, and he starts looking to go for the twist of fate, but Rick Steiner grabs Scott Steiner's leg, pulls him out of the ring, and he starts holding him back as he, starts retreating towards the back from the champions, and Scott's just, screaming at him, "I'm going to kill you guys, I'm going to kill you," like the whole time. So Hardy's, getting a little bit of revenge on the Steiners from the beatdown on Monday Night Raw. Also, it gained some heat to their storyline, so you can't complain about that. We then go to a B minus. Oh, that's bull, and you know it. What? Come on, Total Extreme Wrestling. I know it's randomized, but Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit don't click at all. Get over yourself. In the words of our future president, wrong. Wrong. That's wrong. In the words of a WWE Hall of Famer, wrong. Whatever. Still got a B minus, which is impressive, but that's probably why it's so underwhelming, because I was expecting a lot better of a grade on this one, especially when we go to, the fact that I gave them 16 minutes to work with and had them called in the ring because they both have 90 psychology, but unfortunately they just don't click somehow. In a decent match, Chris Benoit defeating Dean Malenko with the crippler crossface and shutting his friend / I guess now enemy up. I don't know what the hell to call them. I was kind of planning to do a feud between these guys after that, but who knows after this. Benoit had the in-ring performance of a B minus, and Dean Malenko with the C minus. Benoit's also improving in performance, so he just keeps getting better and better. And that confirms our semi-final matches of the King of the Ring that we will see this Sunday. It'll be Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit and Edge versus Christian. And we either see Kurt Angle take on Edge or Kurt Angle take on Christian. Or it could be Chris Benoit versus Edge or Chris Benoit versus Christian. We'll just have to wait until this Sunday to find out. But let's go ahead and book it in, shall we? So once again, Kurt Angle will get his shot at Chris Benoit and his chance to beat him, and hopefully go on to become a two-time King of the Ring winner, back-to-back King of the Ring winner. But I'm sure his rival, Chris Benoit, would love to be the foil in that. Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit. And despite WCW working so hard to get in the King of the Ring, only one WCW star actually made it to the semifinals. Everybody else was WWF. So far, let's look at our show for King of the Ring. We got Edge versus Christian in the semifinal, Angle versus Benoit in the semifinal, Taker versus Giant in a no-holds-barred, Hardy Boys versus Steiners with the titles on the line, Booker T defending against Jericho, DDP, and The Rock. Maybe we still got a main event that might change that. And Stone Cold versus Triple H. Then we have Lita versus Jacqueline. We move on to our next segment, which gets an A-star rating. Hell yes. The Giants music hits, and down he comes. The commentators start putting over their what Undertaker had to say on Monday Night Raw when, talking about the Giant. Giant, once in the ring, he takes the mic, and he has a big smile on his face, and he starts laughing in the mic, and he says, "Dead man, I heard your threats on Raw this week. If that's what you want to call them. I like to think of them as jokes, because if you really think that any of that is really going to happen, then I must have hit you really hard a few weeks back. We've seen what I've done to your brother in seconds. Just imagine what I'm going to do to you this Sunday in a full match. That's when the lights go off and you just hear the revving of a motorcycle. All the lights are off right now. Still, the revving of the motorcycle's going off. We see the front light on the bike turn on, and we just, it starts racing down to the ring. So no lights are on. We just see the bike on the motorcycle. It starts going around the ring, and then it stops, parks the bike. The light is shining right on the giant who's in the ring. The person who's driving the bike gets up, takes off their helmet, and Total Extreme Wrestling spoiled it, but it's The Undertaker. And what? The Undertaker's not supposed to be here tonight. The Undertaker said he wouldn't show up on Nitro. Well, not really. He didn't say that. He said anything could happen. But either way, Undertaker's not supposed to be here. Giant goes to slide out of the ring to meet him and start beating him down. Taker picks up the chain on his bike, wraps it around his hand, and the two start just to begin to brawl all the way on the outside, taking each other on. Security comes racing down to the ring. They pull them apart, or try to pull them apart. Some of them get knocked out, but it just takes a bunch of people to come down. Shane McMahon probably comes down. All these people breaking them apart, while Taker and Giant are just trying to rip each other apart. They can't wait till Sunday, pretty much. No worker improvements, unfortunately. We then go to our main event of the night, which does a B+. That's not too. That's a pretty good, yeah. That's not too bad. A B+ rating here in an exceptional match. The Rock and Chris Jericho defeating Booker T and Diamond Dallas Page, when The Rock defeated Booker T with the People's Elbow after we had Diamond Dallas Page walk out on him during the match. So the way I'd imagine things happening here is good match, as you see it, and not even good, exceptional match, going back and forth. And I'd imagine Booker and DDP, and even Jericho and Rock to an extent, are kind of at odds with each other. And at some point in the match, DDP Booker T does a blind tag or something, and DDP gets mad, and he just maybe hits him with the diamond cutter and then rolls out of the ring. Rock gets up, hits the People's Elbow, something like that. 1, 2, 3. The match is still on. It'll be a fatal 4-way for sure. Nothing can change between now and Sunday. This was the last show, but unless Sunday Night Heat something happens, but that won't happen. Jericho had an A, as did Booker T. Rock with the A star, and DDP with that B+. Unfortunately, this match did lose heat for both the storylines for both Rock and DDP and Jericho and Booker T. But that is okay. What is this? Am I changing him? No, I don't want to do that. In fact, I meant to turn that off. A rating, hell yes. How did this do an A rating, but Monday Night Raw didn't? I don't know. This had a bunch of C pluses on there. Look at that. C+, 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 all 3 in a row. That's like Yahtzee or something. I don't know. Would have been 4 in a row, but Christian, couldn't live up to above standard. That doesn't worry me at all, by the way. I don't think Christian's going to be bad. Did increase our popularity in 16 regions, so there is that. And look at that. Some guy named Dixie, trained by the Huss brothers, got the top headline from around the world. New Japan. Oh, I was like, how did they sign Chavo Guerrero? He can't wrestle, though. I thought he was retired. What is he going to do there? Either way, they signed Chavo Guerrero. Still looking to bring some people in. Hollywood, that's literally his name, Hollywood, is on the rise. Hasn't even had a match. How do you know he's on the rise? I'll shortlist him, game. But I don't know what's so good about Hollywood. Look at that. Justice Payne. Justice Payne. Now, see, that's a guy who obviously looks like he's on the rise. Is he already on my shortlist? Look at that. He already is. I had a feeling. What do we got here? Raven has returned, as Bradshaw has, but don't worry. In fact, before we get into this, Bradshaw may have returned, and Raven's back too, but Bradshaw, I didn't give you enough time off like I planned to. I'm sorry. I still want you to sell your injuries, so we're going to give you more time off. In fact, I'm thinking we're going to give you... Let me think real quick. 3 months. Yes. Let's give him 3 months off, and he's going to be happy about it either way. Let's go ahead and auto-push. Raven, I'm kind of curious to see where he's at, because mid-card sounds about right. He was an upper mid before, but compared to the roster now. But Raven is back. Bradshaw was back, but we sent him back on vacation. Booker T says, we need to get him some momentum so he can be relevant. Okay. Ooh, what's this? Undertaker. Matt Hardy is turning into a good worker. The kid is worth getting behind. And The Rock? Ooh! Both the Hardy boys. The Undertaker says Matt's worth getting behind. Uh-oh, hold on. Ooh, sorry about that. Nasty cough came in. Either way, The Rock says Jeff Hardy is a star in the making. The kid could make us some serious money in the future. So apparently, both the Hardy boys are worth pushing. I already had a feeling, but still, it's good to be confirmed. So how bad were they? They're just around B+ now, huh? Both of them? That's not too bad. This is still a really good rivalry somehow, some way. These guys are killing it. All in all, it's going good. Either way, Nerds and Geeks, that's going to be the end of this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do me a favor. Leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you have not already. And as always, my name is OMGWTF, LOLF to WBRB, and I will see you guys for Sunday Night Heat / The King of the Ring pay-per-view, which will be uploaded tomorrow on Sunday. But until then, have a great day, guys.